for the record if I seem a little meh. I feel a lot better from the bronchial infection. I went to the Ren Fair yesterday, so there was a lot of underestimations. I bought a chainmail shirt thinking it was made of aluminum, and it turned out to be made of steel. It turned out to be a real chainmail shirt. And long story short, I was walking around. You know, when I was in the military, I thought that I would have gotten used to walking around with 90 pounds of equipment every day, but I guess it's been 3 years. Not that that would have mattered, because from the time of 10 a.m. to roughly about 8:30 p.m., I was walking around carrying 120 pounds of gear. And of all the times I took a break to sit down, I was off my feet for probably about maybe 30, 40 minutes collectively. So my body feels a little tense, and my calf muscles are a screaming. 10 out of 10 would do it again. But anyway, enough of that stupid shit out of the way. Time for a movie review. Today, I am going, well, tonight, so it's nighttime. Tonight, I'm going to review the 2024 remake of Stephen King's Salem's Lot. For the record, I will be drawing comparisons between this and the original, 1979 Salem's Lot. So, because I feel with the remake, it's warranted. You know, as I do with my reviews, I'll talk about what I liked, and then I'll talk about what I didn't like. Now, for what I liked about this remake, because I'm not really a big fan of remakes. Unless they manage to actually somehow be good, or even, supersede the original in a way. But if there was anything I liked about this new film, was I felt like there were a lot of times where this film was actually really, really well shot. I feel like there were quite a few times where, in order to capture a vibe or an atmosphere, as it were, I feel like there were quite a few times where they nailed it. There is one shot in this film, and this is not a spoiler alert, by the way, because you see this in the trailer. It's the scene where the characters run into the church to seek refuge because, Salem's Lot is about vampires. So, there's rules. So, like, the vampires cannot step onto consecrated ground, so the characters take refuge in a church. Well, a character runs out and another character chases after them. And they make it out, the character chasing after them makes it out onto the street. And then you hear, come back, it's not safe. And you see the camera pan over to the church. Well, from them, where you see nothing, just an empty nighttime street. And then it pans over to the church and then pans over back. And then you're seeing people rise up from the rooftops. Their eyes are glowing in the dark. Mostly you just see silhouettes, but you do see some people, and it's like there's a bunch of them. Like, it's a fucking army of vampires. And I felt like that whole scene was just very, very well shot. and I can understand why it made it into the trailer. And you do have a few visionary moments like that in the film, and I thought it was actually really, really well done. But now I would like to kind of get into what I really didn't like about this movie. And regrettably so, that is a lot. I feel like one of the biggest problems is this movie kind of suffers from a lot of issues that a lot of horror remakes, especially modern remakes of older horror films, fall victim to. I mean, just the whole horror, the modern take on the horror genre completely, is that this film is anticlimactic as a motherfucker. Like, the original Salem's Lot, which, had, I think, a pretty reasonable sized cast for the time. I mean, you had David Soul, who played Hutch in Starsky and Hutch, was like, he was the main character, Ben. I can't remember what the character's last name is. And yeah, the original Salem's Lot is a bit of a slow crawl. It's like a 3 hour movie. But the thing is, it took time to pace itself out and build up as, the story progressed. Almost to the point that you almost forget what kind of movie you're watching until the vampire shit actually kicks in about halfway through. Because it's just, other than like little subtle hints throughout the first half, you forget that you're watching a vampire movie. And then when you get to that halfway point, that's when they finally lean full on into it, and that's when the vampire shit happens. Give or take, maybe how you feel in the matter, that might annoy you or it might not. But the fact of the matter is, the tension builds up. Uh, Characters are introduced. You're given time to spend with those characters and inevitably care about them. So when the shit starts going down, it actually has gravity to what's going on. The remake doesn't really do that. In fact, I don't know what it was, but I just found myself not really caring about anybody in this movie. And it wasn't like the characters were unlikable like you get with a lot of postmodern films. It's just, I felt like you didn't really spend a whole lot of time getting to know anybody, so you really you just don't form any kind of attachment to them. And what really doesn't help with that is there's like a lot of plot lines that get set up that they have almost no payoff, or they just completely gloss over and just never come back to, which results in periodical moments of something happens between two characters and then it just never follows through. Almost as if you kind of can't help but ask yourself, why the fuck was that even in the fucking movie? Like, I'll give you a really good example. Uh, because it's 2024, they do race swap one of the characters, and it's the kid. I can't remember off the top of my head what his name is. It's like, I can't remember. I'm not even gonna try to guess. But it's the kid who's like into monsters and magic and Harry Houdini. You know, I can't remember who the hell he was played by in the original, but in this movie they race swap him as a black kid. All in all, he's pretty much the same character, which is good. Uh, One of those times that a race swap is kind of inconsequential because they don't really change the character's identity. They just cast a black actor who's notably younger than the original actor, and that's the only time they ever reference that, is like, because he kills somebody who's human, and then it's like, wait, hold on, you killed him, what are you, 11? And he goes, and a half. And it's like, okay, all right then. But the fact of the matter is, the way his character is introduced, you find out he's like the new kid in school, and he has his friends, the Glick boys, by the way, tie his hands up in a knot, and as he's trying to show that, get it as tight as he can, I can get out of it, and he's sitting there trying to work out of it, and then they notice that the school bully, who's like a whole head tall, shorter than this black kid, by the way, which is just comical that anyone in a public school would be scared of a little bastard like this, but not the black kid, the bully, by the way, I'm not, just in case I'm not rambling. But he goes to walk up and he just punches the black kid and then says something about welcome to the lot, asshole, or whatever, or something like that. And you're just like, okay. But then the kid gets up, gets out of the knot, and then he beats the bully's ass. And then after a teacher, the school teacher, who's one of the characters of the original movie as well, of course played by a different actor, breaks up the fight. The bully loses, and he turns around. The bully looks at the black kid and says, "You better watch your fucking back," or something like that. And then he just leaves. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is obviously going to come into play later, naturally. You got to get some kind of resolution with the bully. Yeah, you never see that kid ever again. Like, that's it. like it's one of those. You're just sitting there thinking to yourself, because they put a considerable amount. This is a whole sequence that goes on for about like fucking 3 or 4 minutes. Like, it's a pretty lengthy segment in terms of, like, yeah, it serves to introduce the one kid and it serves to introduce the Glick boys, but that's about it. Like, there's almost like the whole segment with the bully, I didn't get it. Like, what? Why would you put that into the movie and then not expand upon it? And there are a lot of moments like this that factor into the film, where they set something up and then there's no build up to it. There's like, they set it up, but there's no build up, and then there's no payoff. And it just kind of makes you wonder, like, why the fuck would they do that? Because it's like, okay, well, what was it? Was it something cut from the film? And if so, then why didn't you just cut the whole bully segment? Like, why would you include stuff like this into the film and then turn around and take it out later down the line without taking out the whole bully segment altogether? Or don't set something up if you're not going to build up to it and then have it paid off. Like, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of the audience's time, because they're the ones that are going to be watching your fucking movie in the first place. And then there are moments where shit happens and you kind of have to almost blink and do a double take and tell yourself, wait, hold, what the fuck? Did that just happen? Like, why would, what, hold up, what the fuck? Like, there are moments where they kill off characters and then you have to ask yourself, like, hold up, rewind. Did that just fucking happen? And it's like, it's probably a good thing they did not host this film in theaters. Otherwise, people would have fucking probably missed some of the deaths in this movie. Like, there's a character who, granted, is an antagonistic character who dies. And it happens so fast without any kind of hesitation that you have to ask yourself, like, hold up, did he just kill that guy? And you're just like, hold on, let me rewind that. And other than it gets referenced later down the line, you're just like, oh, okay, so that happened. That character is dead. They're not coming back. Like, okay, that happened. Because there's almost, other than that, there's like no way on point. There's no, other than, like I said, loose reference later down the line, it almost never fucking matters. And they kind of do this. This will be the one spoiler in the film because, and it unfortunately does come at a crucial time, but it's the death of the main. It, it's the death of Barlow, the master vampire. And I'm not going to say how, I'm not going to say when, but it's when how and when the character dies. I mean, thematically, the character is killed by the person who is supposed to kill him, but it happens in a way that it just happens. Like there's no heroic build up, there's no tension to it, there's no climactic, you know, centralizing, none of it. It just happens, and it happens just like that. Just bam, 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 dead. That's it. Like, they try to build up suspense with what the character is doing before he finally gets, taken out. But, like, it's just the way it happens. It's just like, it's that kind of artificial suspense where you know something bad isn't going to happen. But just when you're thinking, okay, well, what's about to happen? And it's like, nothing. It just happens. And you're just like, oh, hold up. Just like that. So that's it? And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe you're going to get a fake out. Or, nope, not even a fucking fake out. It's just, nope, this character is fucking dead, and that is all there is to it. It's over. The day is saved. And you're just like, okay. Uh, I how would I phrase this? I would phrase it, a lot of these moments are just kind of straight to the point. And that, I think, is the problem that this film has. It doesn't take any time to build anything up. It has no, and whenever something does happen, it's either the end result is either anticlimactic as a motherfucker, and any suspense that they do is they try to do this weird kind of creep factor where they try to bait you into something else, only to either have a fucking last minute jump scare or what. Like, this movie wasn't scary. It just felt kind of, how do I want to phrase this? I would put this movie up there, like right next to the, when was that, 2009, 2010, somewhere, the remake of Fright Night, the one that had Colin Farrell in it. I would put this next to that in terms of, it's an okay monster movie, but it's not, if you're just watching it just to pass some time, oh, you just turned on your HBO Max and, there it is, yeah, it's fine to pass the time. It's not scary. It's not, it's, it's not shit, but it's not good. Like, it's meh. This is one of those films that if I were Jeremy Johns, it's not dog shit, but you're not going to remember this in like T-1 day kind of films. And I guess to give it my official score, I would give it a 5 out of 10. Would I recommend it? Not ideally, because the only reason I wouldn't recommend it is because I probably will forget about this movie even existing in like a week. So it's So, I don't know. Watch the original. Hell, watch The Return to Salem's Lot. Give that a go. Hell, The Return to Salem's Lot is better than this. Like, and that's saying something because the acting in that film is terrible. But thank y'all for watching, and I'm going to attempt to work out, and then I'm going to get a shower, and I am taking my tired ass to bed. Thank you for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and see you in the next one.